He had always believed that life was about moving forward, about climbing higher, achieving more, and never stopping. And she had always believed that life was about noticing the small details, the quiet moments, the subtle truths that most people overlooked. They met on a rainy afternoon, not under perfect circumstances, not in a movie scene, but in a moment that neither of them fully understood. She was laughing at something trivial, holding a cracked umbrella, and he noticed her. It was not attraction at first, it was curiosity. Curiosity about someone who seemed to move through the world differently, who carried herself with calm conviction in a way he had never seen before. He tried to ignore it at first. He told himself it was nothing, a fleeting thought, a distraction from the life he had built so carefully. But every time he thought of her, he noticed something new, a look, a laugh, a way she made the ordinary feel extraordinary. She noticed him too, though it took longer for her to name it. She noticed the way he held his attention, how he was always calculating, analyzing, preparing for the next step. Yet somehow, in her presence, his world slowed down. They began talking, slowly, carefully. The conversations were not about love, not at first, but about dreams, fears, regrets. They shared the small confessions that people usually keep hidden, and in those confessions, they began to see themselves reflected in each other. He realized that she made him question everything he had ever thought about success. She made him wonder if he had been running toward the wrong things all along. And she realized that he made her feel seen in ways she had never allowed anyone to. Love, they discovered, was not instant. It was not a burst of fireworks or a sudden revelation. It was noticing. It was understanding. It was the quiet realization that life could feel lighter and heavier at the same time because they were walking it together. They had their first fight 3 months in, over something ridiculous, a misunderstanding, a misread word. But in that fight, they learned something crucial. Love is tested in silence, in anger, in frustration. It is tested when we are unwilling, when we are stubborn, when we are afraid to give up control. They argued, yes, but they came back, and every return strengthened the bond between them. Months turned into seasons. He began to slow down, not because she asked him to, but because he wanted to. He wanted to notice her laughter, her voice, the way she held her hands when she was thinking. He realized that chasing achievement had left him empty, and love gave him a purpose deeper than any milestone could. She began to trust him, not because he was perfect, but because he became reliable. She began to see him in the quiet consistency of his actions, the patience he learned, the way he held her when nothing was happening at all. Trust, they discovered, was built in the ordinary moments, not the grand gestures. They traveled together, not always to spectacular places, but to ordinary spaces where ordinary conversations could bloom. A bench in a park became a sacred place, a coffee shop their sanctuary, a street corner their little world. In these spaces, they discovered that love does not need extraordinary circumstances. It needs presence. They had their challenges, too. Career pressures, family expectations, doubts that crept in during sleepless nights. And yet, every challenge became a test of their alignment. Could they choose each other when it was inconvenient? Could they stay connected even when the world pulled them apart? And they did, because love, they realized, was not about passion alone. It was about alignment, about showing up even when it was hard, about choosing the other person consistently, day after day, through imperfection. They discovered the quiet truths that many people never understand. Love is not intensity. Love is steadiness. Love is reliability. Love is seeing the other person clearly and committing to walk beside them, not to change them, not to perfect them, but to grow together. Years passed. Their love matured. It was not always loud. It did not always demand attention, but it endured because it was built on trust, understanding, and intentionality. He learned that his life was no longer about chasing accolades or racing toward undefined milestones. It was about aligning with values, aligning with her, aligning with the moments that mattered. She learned that love was not surrendering her independence, but choosing to share her life with someone who honored it. They did not lose themselves in each other. They discovered who they could be together. And in the quiet nights, when the world fell asleep and the chaos of life faded, they held hands and realized, this is love. Not loud, not dramatic, not fleeting, but deliberate. A love that teaches, that molds, that challenges, and that sustains. Because real love is not just about feeling. It is about clarity. It is about purpose. It is about seeing the other person fully and still choosing them every single day. In the end, it was never about finding someone to complete them. It was about finding someone who aligned with who they wanted to become, someone who mirrored their truest selves, someone who made life meaningful, steady, and profoundly beautiful. And that is the kind of love that lasts. The kind of love that transforms ordinary lives into extraordinary journeys. The kind of love that endures because it is chosen with intention, nurtured with patience, and lived with purpose. He did not fall in love with her at first sight, not in the way stories say he should. He fell in love with the quiet moments, the ones that came after the laughter, when her words lingered long after she spoke. She entered his life like sunlight through a cracked window, soft, warm, and unexpected. At first, he didn't notice how much space she took in his thoughts, how her absence made even ordinary days feel hollow. He was a boy who believed speed was success, achievement was meaning, and feelings were distractions. She was a girl who believed life could not be measured in milestones, that meaning lived in intention and honesty. And so, their worlds collided, not violently, not dramatically, but in subtle ways. A glance held a little too long, a silence that felt heavier when it passed, laughter that stayed with him long into the night. One evening, under the dim glow of streetlights, he asked her quietly, almost hesitantly, "Why do you live the way you do?" She smiled, softly, without explanation, "Because I want my days to feel honest, even if they are messy and incomplete." He could not shake those words. For the first time, he questioned the path he had been racing down, achievements ticking off boxes, deadlines chasing him faster than he could breathe. What was he running for if it left him feeling empty? They talked for hours that night, not about work, not about success, but about fear and hope, about the things no one else knew. She admitted she feared being left behind by people who valued results over connection. He admitted he feared slowing down because stopping meant confronting a life that might be meaningless. Love became a mirror, reflecting their truest selves, their unfinished pieces. It was not always easy. There were days of arguments, silent phone calls, misunderstandings, moments when he chose ambition over her, when she chose patience over words. But even in distance, even in silence, the pull between them never faded. He realized that love does not fail suddenly. It fades when meaning is lost. And he had almost lost it, chasing life without reflection, without purpose. In the quiet of separation, he learned to slow down, to listen to his own heart, to understand that success without meaning was a hollow prize. He learned that love does not rescue you, it teaches you, molds you, shapes the way you live. She grew too. She discovered patience has limits, that self-worth cannot be sacrificed even for love. They changed, and growth changed them both. When they met again, it was different. Not louder, not brighter, but steadier, deeper, more intentional. He spoke slower, listened harder, chose her in ways he had never known before. She trusted alignment,
consistency, and honesty instead of passion alone. Love became a quiet revolution in their lives. They did not need grand gestures or dramatic declarations. They built their life in small truths, showing up when inconvenient, speaking when it mattered, choosing each other even when it was hard. Life still tested them. Careers shifted, plans changed, uncertainty arrived, but they did not panic, because clarity creates calm, and calm sustains love. He no longer measured success in speed or achievements, but in integrity and alignment. She no longer feared abandonment, but trusted the steadiness of commitment. And slowly, they understood what few people ever realize. Love is not intensity, not fireworks, not endless excitement. Love is reliability. Love is presence. Love is choosing the same person day after day, even when it is inconvenient, uncomfortable, or imperfect. In the end, love did not make their lives easier, it made their lives meaningful. It did not fill the gaps for them, it taught them how to live honestly, deeply, fully, together. And in that truth, they discovered the only thing that lasts: love aligned with purpose.